Hello, this is Paul Casbolt, and this short video is intended to show you the way in which our signature pad solution works with the Merchant software package. Before we start, let's just understand that what we're trying to do is capture the customer's signature at the end of certain trade counter transactions. We don't intend this to be used in a strictly legal or forensic sense. We're simply imagining that this will help us iron out any friction between the customer and ourselves. It will mean that the customer is better aware about who in his organisation may remember collecting those goods. In other words, we're saying that possibly we won't be actually inviting a signature at the end of every order. And the solution is configurable as to how we identify which customers and what orders we ought to be seeking to get a customer signature for. In the demonstration that we'll go to shortly, I've arranged that collect orders for trade customers are those that invite a signature to be captured. Perhaps you might think that only large customers you'll need to capture a signature for. Also, the arrangement is that you might want to trial this at one or two branches, and that's perfectly satisfactory. At the branches that you haven't identified, the system won't come up inviting the loading of a signature. Well, let's go to my example. This is intended to capture signatures at the trade counter. It doesn't really matter what document type you use for taking those orders. In the illustration we're about to see, I use dispatch notes, but it could be that you create immediate invoices for such transactions. That too will be perfectly all right. Let's get on and scamper through a document order quite quickly. Hopefully you can see pretty much a conventional sales order screen here. Let's see if I can raise a dispatch note. Okay, well, I suggested to you that my system is set for one of the criteria that requires to be met as being a collect order, so I'm making sure that this is a collect order. Select my customer. We're going to zip through this, nothing particularly important to see here. I'm going to select a product, a single line of product, and then I'll come to finish the order. Okay, so this is me completing the transaction, and this is the summary screen with the goods, VAT and total order values shown at the end. And as I complete the order, the system's going to ask me, I'm sorry, I got a deposit here, didn't mean to ask for a deposit. Yes, no, let's not have the deposit asked for, that's unnecessary. And now the system is going to prompt for the signature, and it does so by throwing up this new little box in the bottom of the right-hand corner. I don't know how clearly you can see that box, it's relatively small, but watch it as I go to sign. I've squiggled my signature in. Let's have a look at the device that I used in order to do that. This is the signature pad. You can see it's relatively small. The window itself is about 1.5 inches by 5 inches, and the whole device must be about, I don't know, 4.5 inches by 6. So there's plenty of room on the trade counter for it. Notice that the window itself is actually completely unlit. It's black. Technically, we say that this particular model has no ink. In other words, when I draw on the screen using the special stylus, you actually can't see what it is that I'm writing. Well, that's not particularly important, perhaps. This is the cheapest model, about £100 a time. There are more expensive models, about £130 a time, which are said to have ink. In other words, I can see my signature as I sign it. Okay, back to the screen. well now, because I scribbled on the pad while I was demonstrating the fact to you that it didn't have ink, you can see a large blodge has appeared over my name. And there is a button that I could press to allow myself to do a nice, clean, tidy signature again, but we won't get bogged down in the detail. Right. That really represents the end of the signature capture. I simply have to position the pointer over a box on that screen and it will disappear, and the rest of the merchant sales order will conclude exactly as we might expect. I'll just press the button there to allow it to conclude, and it tells me that the delivery note that is just now produced has been MKD 4015. Okay, well, I'll just scamper next door and pick that document off my laser printer while you guys chat. Okay, I'm back. The document's been produced. I'll just put it in front of the camera. And I don't know if you can make it out, but just in the top right-hand corner, under the words, goods collected in good condition by, you can see my signature. Including, I'm afraid, that rather blodgy bit at the end where I was just demonstrating you the fact that the screen doesn't have ink. Okay, essentially, that is image capture of the customer's signature. I think now we'll just spend 1 minute talking about the archive capability that's associated with this facility. If I escape from order entry and go into, I've currently put it on this menu, the user's custom built inquiry menu, and the job is number 15, which says signed sales document inquiry, and it invites me to identify the document that I wish to inquire upon. The one we've just created, MKD 4015, is presented on screen. The system says that there's currently only been one version of this. But of course, as we know, dispatch notes may be edited on 2 or 3 occasions. If I wish to confirm that that's the document that I'm interested in, and then, because it's line 1, if I select V1 to view it, the system will show me the image of the document that I've just printed. And when I cancel that and return to the inquiry screen, I have the option to go and press 1 now and go and reprint that document. Essentially, this is reprinting from the archive. Now, I don't expect that this in any way is going to replace the conventional print, which of course is the entry SOP.P10 from the menu. And I would assume that the archive facility that I'm now demonstrating to you is for very limited use by specific managers when they're inquiring as to what has happened to a particular document. If I was to do an edit on this dispatch note, the document would then be presented twice in the screen that we're now looking at, because of course there are 2 different versions. Potentially the revised document could have a different signature associated with it. It's really important if you contemplate adopting the signature pads solution that you make quite sure that the management practices which you would require to be adhered to within your organisation are known and published as part of the implementation process. People need to understand how they're expected to use this and what to do with difficult customers who choose not to sign. Almost certainly there are going to be people like that. What do you do when somebody quite blatantly sticks Mickey Mouse in there, just for a joke? People need to be taught how they're supposed to accommodate those circumstances. Well, I told you it wouldn't be long. I can't think of anything else significant or important to say. But of course, if you are interested in this solution, you know where to find us. Thank you very much for your attention and time at looking at this. Bye-bye.